Hi everyone, once again I am your Roseto Orquesta, and today let's talk about uh, entity relationship diagram or entity relational diagram. In the last video, or since these video recordings are for my grade 12 students of Eastern Mindanao College of Technology, so after the last video on a discussion of a database management system, I gave my students a quiz. No? I let them identify the entities as well as the possible attributes of each entities, and then the relationship between those entities. Basically, or overall, I have them design a database for event uh, attendance system. Okay. Yeah, I think it's event attendance system. Let me check the output of some output from my student. Yeah, event attendance system. So it's about attendance event system or event attendance system. Okay. So ako lang gid pa buhat og event attendance system. Unfortunately, it's like wala pa nila na sabtan gyud ang purpose pagbuhat og design, ERD, pagbuhat og ERD in terms of database management system. So most of the outputs are just composed of two entities, two tables for the database. That is one table for students and one table for attendance. So it's very limited. Wala kang lagi lantaw ang ubang possibilities. So today, instead of having a discussion on a much on queries, so supposedly execute ta karon og mga queries sa mga SQL queries sa MySQL database, but maybe atong balikan ang event attendance system. Okay, so I will try to identify the most needed entities for the system, because ingani siya for my students or for anyone who will be watching this video. If you are going to create an ERD, so magbuhat mo og design sa inyong database, make sure nga inyong outlook, inyong panlantaw is you're going to create a complete system, not just a database. Although a database is already a system, but when I say mas commonly manggod ang interpretation sa tao pag mo yung tag system is software na siya. Nga mo gather siya og attendance, event attendance for those people nga ni-attend o event. Okay, so dapat ingon na ang grasp sa inyohang understanding sa ERD. So dili lang siya limited nga kung sa lagi kinahanglan, as since it is attendance, so kinahanglan lang si student or si ang tawo nga mo attendance, o syempre ang entity nga attendance itself as one table. So duhara, student and attendance. In database management, making an ERD is like creating a blueprint. Yep, you're creating a blueprint for your system, for your software. So since ingon ana ang konsepto, so dapat siguro nga imuhang lantawon tanang possibilities nga pwede mahitabo sa system. if ever i-implement ng imong system. Okay, so the title is event attendance system. Okay, so just let me okay, so for example, so this is the system akong gipabot sila, event attendance system. So from the word system, sistema, na siya rules, na siya regulations, na siya steps to follow from start to finish. Okay, so since yung anak man siya, system man siya, so atong ano ang tanang possibilities. So what are the entities? So in this case, I guess this would be, by the way, I am using draw.io. So this is the offline version of the draw.io na website. You can visit this site. Okay, this one. But after visiting the link draw.io, it will redirect you into app.diagrams.net, as you can see, and then you can use it online or you can have it offline by clicking this get desktop. It will download an installer. Pwede siya nimo gamiton maski wala ka naka-connect sa internet. So yun na so mo na siya akong gigamit karon. That is why pag click na kog table, automatic siya ning gama og table. So this table here will represent my entities, an entity I mean, so a single entity, a group of entity, a single group of entity. See, for example, as I'll take it from your submitted quizzes from my students, I mean, so they identified that the primary entities would be students and attendance. So that is why ako na siyang buhaton og student. Now, for the attributes, since they take the event attendance system as for the school, not for any other institution but just the school, that is why lang i-identify nga ang kinahanglan nga tawo is student. So in this case, atong primary key, the very first attribute and the very important attribute, which will be the primary key, is the student ID. Okay, and then we had a row 1. Probably I'll just gusto siya matagahan ng daan para dali na lang sa editan. So since this is a student, so there are tendencies that student will have the same first name, ito siyang bulag-bulagon. There are middle name and last name. Since this is attendance, so probably we need we'll need their gender if we want to create a report soon that will evaluate the population of attendees with regards to gender. Or I mean, maybe not gender but sex. Okay, for male and female, because gender is not it's not limited to just male and female. Okay, and then What else? Maybe a contact number if I need to contact the student. Or what else? So since this is the school event attendance system, maybe we need the year level. What else? So year level. Okay, so maybe that's it. Just those are just the um, simple um, most commonly used attributes for a student nga mao'y kinahanglanon nato para sa event attendance system. Now, since this is event attendance system for the school, as what my student think it is, so yeah, atong sunod ang ilang gibuhat nga naslay table nga attendance. We call this another entity, and then I'll just name it at ID or attendance ID. Now for the attendance, maybe we will need the date. Okay. Plug in AM, log out AM, the log in PM, and the log out PM. Okay, so anticipation. This is attendance, event attendance management or event attendance system. So a school has different event, right? As like ang event, we have acquaintance party, we have these intramurals, we have this buwan ng wika, and we also have this nutrition month. What else? Teachers Day, the department day, departmental, and yeah, then we have this. There are lots of or different events that would occur in 1 year sa school, right? So probably we will not create a system that is only focusing on one event. So dapat atuang attendance is capable siya mo handle og different event without erasing those previous records of students of events, previous events. Kay pwede man to siya buhatan og history, pwede man to siya lantawon og kinsa mga wala nag-attend on acquaintance party because naatoy siya penalty, right? Yeah. Mostly pag na-event ang school na siya equivalent nga penalty kung dili mo appeal ang student. So kung yun ana ang setup, so maybe nani siya event ID din hi, and then this is F key, a foreign key, and with that, or we could put it here. Nope. Alright. Okay, just that. So kung yun ani siya, okay. So aside from that, dapat ato siyang i-connect into student ID. So, later on ako siyang i-explain nga nung ato siyang botanog student ID. Since nagisguta nga ang ato ang system is able to gather attendance on different events, so dapat na tayo entity or table nga event. And then we have this event ID, the event name, date, start, date, end. And then probably since we have penalty for the students nga wala nag-appeal sa event, so atong buhatan ni siya og amount, penalty amount. Okay, so different event has different name, it has different date start and date end. It also has different penalty amount. Pwede og ang uban 50, ang uban 100, ang uban is 10, uban, okay, depends on the school kung pila ang ilang ihatag nga penalty per event. So that is why nanatay tulo ka entity or table. We have student, attendance, and event. Okay, so enough na ba ang tulo? We are going to create a log, right, for student niya may penalty. So dapat in the later days to come, or next few months, next few weeks, next few days, or next year, next school year, dapat pwede gyapon na to ma-retrieve kung ito mga naay pending balances or penalties nga student for the sake of clearance maybe, diba? So in that manner dapat natay table nga penalties. Okay, okay, so we could just pen ID. Okay, so we have a primary key for the penalty, just pen ID, and then yep, amount, and then payment, and then we have this event ID. This is F key. This is student ID. Okay, so instead of having just student and attendance, now we have additional entity entities. We have event and penalties. So in your penalties nga entity or table na siya pag-abot na sa database, there is amount on payment. Ang purpose niya is just with my own design, no? So it's up to the other person who will be watching this video kung nasa like ideas yung event attendance system. This is just an example. What I am trying to present is not the full extent of or the full or the 100% capability of the event attendance system, because it could have different features, no? Pwede sa depende sa designer, depende sa mugama sa system. So in my case, so I have this penalties entity or table na siya amount and payment. So the difference is the amount is your payable. Muna imong total nga penalty for that specific event. So for example, ang imong penalty amount atong imong event is 50. One day nga event. Tapos for that one day event, you have 4 logs, log in AM, log out AM, log in PM, and log out PM. So you have 4. So in that one day event, the total penalty amount is 100. So that makes every logs is equivalent to 25 pesos. So how about naka-login ka sa buntag, log out ka sa buntag, login ka sa hapon, but wala ka ka-log out sa hapon kay sayo kay kaning uli. So that makes it that you have 25 payable amount as penalty. So base wala na magyuman ang event, ningon na kag uli, wala pa nag-declare og adjourned ang school campus or ang school president nga pwede na mo uli, pwede na mo hawa sa event. So ning uli na ka, so that's the reason wala ka ka-log out sa hapon or sa pagkagabi na. So penalty kag 25. Possible mo ganun siguro nga wala na magyuman ang event, aglaag na lang dahil ka sa mall, wala ka nasulod sa school, wala ka nag-participate, so mapinaltihan ka. So because of that, ato siyang gibutang diha as amount. Di man automatic nga 100 pesos dahil nimong penalty, pwede lang manog 50 or 25 or 75, depende kung pila ka logs ang wala naman napilan. And then payment, na amount na pag-payment. The purpose of payment is that dili malikayan nga mga student nga inigting clearance magbayad mo promise. Pwede sir or ma'am nga 50% lang ang bayaran sa total penalty. Your penalty is 50 pesos nya, imong kwarta is only 25, so imo siyang promise hatag lang sa kag 25. So ato siyang ibutan nina sa payment nga attribute diri, payment nga attribute sa penalty. So kung pila imong nabayad, if the amount and your payment is nag-equal na, kung imong penalty, total penalty mo is 50, tapos ang imong payment is 50, so nag-equal na sila, that means you already paid that certain penalty. So dili na siya mo gawas dito sa penalty as wala pa mo nabayaran. Okay? So ingon na nganong ato siyang gibutangan og foreign key or F key nga event ID. It is because different penalty is linked to different event. See for example sa acquaintance naka-attend ka, but sa buwan ng wika wala ka naka-attend na pagkagbalik dito sa nutrition month. Okay, so honor is nutrition month. First you have attended the acquaintance party, and then wala ka ka-attend sa nutrition month, and then naka-attend ka balik pagka buwan ng wika. So nakaisa ka event nga wala napilan. So that is why ato siyang ibutang og event ID para mahibaw-an kung unsa nga event ang wala nimo napilan maong nagka-penalty ka. Connected man siya dito, ato man siyang i-connect karon. Student ID. Why is that nga na student ID ang atong penalties as foreign key? Now the purpose is para kay balota kung kinsa ang tagiyan ang penalty, kinsa ang ato ang kolektahan ana nga penalty, ana nga amount, kinsa atong pangayuan ana nga amount, kinsa atong pabayron, kumbaga. Kung di mo na siya butang ng student ID, hanging na siya nga penalty, wala ka kabalog kinsay tagiya. Whereas kung imo siya butang student ID, pag query mo sa student kung kinsay tagiya nga student ID, kabalo na kag kinsay mong panilngan sa ana nga penalty or ana nga amount. So penalties connected to event para makabalo tag unsa na siya nga event. Student ID nga FK connected to student nga entity or table para kay baltag kinsa tagyan nga penalty o kinsa tong panilngan. Okay. In your attendance table or entity, nasa duha ka FK again, student ID and event ID. So the same as the penalties. So student ID nga FK connected to student para kay balta kung kinsay ning attendance, kinsay ning logout, ning login, ning logout diha sa attendance. FK event ID. For the FK event ID, para makibalo ta kung unsa nga event ang iyang gi-attendan sa acquaintance ba na, or kato ba ng nutrition month or buwan ng wika ba na, or intramurals ba na ang iyang gi-attendansan nga event. So that is the purpose of foreign key or FK event ID here. Sa attendance nato nganong naay date sa babaw, it is because pwede man og dili one day lang ang event. So for example, the intramurals, as for the Eastern Mindanao College of Technology or MCOTech, the intramurals will run at least at a minimum of 4 days, right? 4 days, and kung mulapas pa sa 4 days, that's because siguro na yung mga kakulian, na yung mga instances nga nahitabo na yung nga dili siya ma-compress into just 4 days but kinahanglan sa stretch into 5 or more days. So each of those days magkulik man tag attendance, mag-login ta, mag-logout, mag-login, mag-logout. So that is why ato sing ibutangan og date. Pareha sila event ID dahil sa baba, pareha sila student ID but different ang date. So ma-identify nato kung unsang adlaw ning absent. For example, intramurals, it has 4 days minimum. Si student ning sulod sa first day, wala sa second day, ning sulod sa third day, wala na po siya sa fourth day. Or basin wala siya ning first day, wala siya ning nasa sa first day, wala siya sa second or third, hing attend siya balik pagka last day na pod sa event. That is also possible to happen. So imo siyang i-anticipate, mo na siyang i-analyze, mo siyang hunaon. So advanced thinking ana. So ingana ka dapat mag-design sa imong ERD, ingana ka mag-analyze sa imong entity. Dapat tunahon-naon mo daan unsay mga possibilities, what if. So manay mo hang permis sulod sa imong una, what if yung nani, what if yung yun na yung mahitabo, right? So dapat mo na siyang anticipate, mo siyang una daan para mas maplastar imong imuhang entities sa imong event attendance system, right? So siguro diri lang mo lang sana akong ipakita just to make an example of how to create an ERD or entity relationship diagram or entity relational diagram with regards to the actual system. So imo na siyang imaginon unsa ang imong possible nga output, imong features nga ibutang sa imong system, right? You are going to think what are the features nga imong ibutang sa imong system. That is why as much as possible stretch your mind, think of what are the entities nga pwede mo siya ibutang sa imong database design para makuha nimo although dili man mabot og 100% ang imong system, but at least siguro na siya sa mga 90% complete o 90% perfect. Okay, so because wala man gid siguro ay system nga mabot og 100% perfect, but at least mabot man lang og 90. So mo siyang i-anticipate, anticipation. What if may taboy nga ni, what if kinahanglan sa administrator ginani, what if so there are too many possibilities nga pwede nimo ibutang. Mag-imagine kag scenario, okay, magunahon kag mga scenario nga pwede mahitabo while garan ang imong program, imong software, while gigamit ang imong software. Unsa kay mga mo arise nga needs, amo na siyang i-anticipate. With that, mas mabuhat nimo og sakto ang imuhang ERD, imong blueprint para sa imong system. Mo siya ang backbone kay human nimong ERD, i-design naman din nimo imong database. So ang imong database is the backbone of your system, of your program, of your software. So dapat planado siya. Napani siya individual table nga para sa imuhang admin. Siyempre, kinsa may mag-manage sa imuhang system. So natay users. Okay. Tapos ato ang butang diri ang user ID. Okay. Tapos ato lang ibutang ang full name. Nato iyang account and then the password. Okay, so this is an orphaned table or orphaned nga entity lang sa, although pwede to sa i-link og other table, but since I am just trying to create an example of how to design an ERD, so karon ako siyang i-connect na dayon. So since si attendance na siya student ID, so what would be the nature of their connection? Okay, so student ID is connected to this student ID sa mga attendance. Now, so by default yung nani ang iyang arrow, but since we are going to create an ERD, so atong i-change ang iyang first starting point o end point. So the relationship between student ID and the attendance is that one student, or at least one student, or mandatory one student, or one or many student could have one or many attendance. In this case, ato ang i-treat sa student as just one entity. So ang iyahang starting point atong ibutang diha is 1. So one student, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll try to zoom. Okay, so one student is equal to or has one or many attendance. So at the other end, atong pilion ang yun ani. Okay, so yun na nagporma. One student could have one or many attendance, and then since this attendance table naman siya event ID, ato ba siyang i-connect din sa event ID. Okay, same. One event, or at least one event, could have one or many attendance nga kay kadalag ni student mo-add man siya, like for example 3 days ang event, so probably in one student ay tulo ka buok attendance ang event dito sa attendance nga table. Kay 3 days man. So mag-change ang date, mag-change ang login, logout, login, logout, but same ang student ID o same ang event ID for 3 rows ang iyang tangan. And then below we have these penalties, and it is connected to the attendance. I don't want to create a cross line between entities or between tables. Ako sang gi-interchange para mas mabutangan ako og sa tawag ni okay. So I'm trying to create a event and attendance as event and student. Yeah, maybe I could do this. Okay. Trying to make it more clearer, more beautiful to look at. Okay. So okay, so to make it more so I'm going to change the para mas malinaw tingnan. So one event so dito pala ako magsisimula. So one event could have one or many penalties, no? Because isa lang. So dapat dili na siya 1 diri. Dapat na ni siya just 1. 1:1. One event is to 1 penalties. Kay ang total naman ni siya, dili man siya per day. Ang total na lang man dayon ang ibutan din Then one student has 1 or many penalties. So pwede isa or duha tulo ang iyang penalties. So ato siyang butangan og 1 or many. So yun ani na dayon ang itsura sa imuhang ERD or Entity Relationship Diagram, or some other call it Entity Relational Diagram. So Entity Relationship Diagram, Entity Relational So yun ani. So this is just a simple example on how to identify your entities and the attributes and then the relationship. And then last but not the least, the path kabalo ka mo identify sa iyahang data type. So if it's date, then the data type is date. Login AM, it talks about time, so the data type should be time. Logout AM also, it is about time, so the data type would be time. Same to login PM and logout PM. Okay, so maybe ako siyang panakaan para mas maklaro. Okay, so for student ID, usually in the school, it's not just number ang student ID. Probably na ipay mga letters or characters like dash. Maybe yes, usually there are dashes and school ID. So dili siya pwede og time or date or integer. So probably mas preferable kung atong ibutan din na is text. And then to make it safe for the event, siguro pwede event 1, event 2, event 3, or it could be because every year magbalik-balik ng acquaintance, so pwede acquaintance ang yung ID is a combination of the word of the event name and the year. Like for example, acquaintance 2020, acquaintance 2021. So therefore ato siyang buhaton og varchar. So a varchar is a different type of a different kind of data type. Mura pud siya og text, but is it nimo because text is just like the one we use for student ID. Maybe ato na siyang button of varchar because a varchar is a variable or a I don't know the exact or complete word for varchar. I was thinking of a variable character of varies a variant or whatever, but it's a combination of different characters. Like you can have letters, numbers, special characters with a specific length. So since these are student ID and event ID, so those primary keys needs a specific length of unsay pwede nimo ibutang dito sa primary key, because primary key will not accept text because text is maybe there is no limitation as to the length of text. So it's not advisable to create a primary key with text. Possible mag-error po na siya depende sa imong database management system nga gamiton, but in MySQL mag-error na siya kung di siya limited. So mas preferable kung magamit og varchar, like varchar, then the length of ID is only 11 or only 15. So mo siyang isit like example for the student ID dapat 15 lang ang length. For the event ID dapat 25 lang ang length. So ana, when you say varchar 15 characters lang ang pwede butan mo dito. Up to 15 counts lang. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, asterisk, dash, and something like that until mabot siya og 15. Same as the event ID nga taman lang po og 25. Okay? So attendance ID, varchar. So you set into siguro 5 or 5 counts. Pwede pa na to sa mono integer tapos auto increment. So okay, probably pwede yun na integer. Student ID varchar 15. First name, need to set the length because there are students nga tulo ka ngalan, duha ka ngalan, isa ka ngalan. So atong gamiton diri is text. Also for the middle name ta ka concept kung sa kadako. So automatic i-adjust niya according to the number of characters entered. So gamitan nato sila og text. Text will automatically reduce or increase the number of the length of the field depending on the length of the characters nga mga butang. So as for the 6, we have male, M-A-L-E, and then if we use female, we will add at least 2, so we have 6. Varchar 6, and then for the contact number, we will have yeah, because some contact number starts with 0, so we can use integer because kung magamit ang integer automatic iyang i-remove ang 0, so we'll use text instead because sometimes pwede na butangan daog telephone number, and telephone number has these dashes or blank space like 214 dash. Okay, so for that to be accepted in the database nga dili siya mag-cause og error, atong gamiton is ang text. And then year level, yeah, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, or grade 11. So pwede na to batang das year level is this number. Pag 11, that means grade 11. Pag 12, that means grade 12. Pag 1, that means first year. Pag 2, that means second year, and so on. So pwede na gamitan og integer. So amount, penalty, we can just use integer, no significant rule for that, because it will just a unique ID for each penalty. Kaya if ever pwede na to sa i-edit, ang ihamang primary key ato ang lantawon. And then for amount, we use double. So double is different from integer because integer is whole numbers, 0, 1, 5, 20, 100. But for the amount, pwede man og bunggig. Let's say for example na say 0.5, 0.2, 0.3, 0.7. Okay, so atong gamitan is double. Double means it's something like decimal. Dawat siya fraction, dawat siya decimal point. Unlike integer, pareha na mong pin ID nga ang yang dawaton lang is whole number. So payment, since it's all about money too, pwede siya bungkig, so double. Student ID, atong giset dito sa Picas of Varchar 15. Event ID, Varchar 25. Right? Okay. Varchar 25. Event name, text, date start, date end, date, penalty amount, double, full name, text, user ID, Varchar, si ato lang siya set into 15, account, say ato siya mutangan og text. Password text. Okay. So muna ni ang kabuuan karon sa imuhang event attendance system. Okay? So, kung alantawon mo na siya, mas system siya lantawon, di ba? Kumpara yung gipang buhat sa akong student nga just only the attendance and the student ang gi-identify nila nga entity or table silang database. So kulang kayo to siya. Although kini siya is kulang papud ni, siguro napay pangdungag ani nga mga entity or mga table for the database design. Depende sa features nga mong gusto nga naa dito mag-exist sa system. Then identify nimo kung unsang mga data or information nga kinahanglan mo i-store, kinahanglan nimo i-process, kinahanglan nimo i-return or display or i-print. So dapat ana mo siyang anticipate, mo siyang imagine undaan ang system kung unsay itsura niya, unsay kaya niya, capabilities niya pag nag-run na ang imong system. Okay? So this discussion is not about the event attendance system. Okay, let me make this clear. This discussion is not about the event attendance system. This discussion is about how should you create a not so perfect but at least a 90% perfect ERD or entity relationship diagram or entity relational diagram. So unsaon nimo nga close to perfect ang imong output. Na dito ang tanang elements sa imong software nga output pohon. Na dito ang capabilities nga at least 90% capable in different situation ang imong software, imong system. To make that happen, dapat imong planuhon og tarong ang imong ERD or entity relational diagram, entity relationship diagram. Tanawon mo kung unsa ang mga analyze mo unsa ang mga data nga kung isulod sa akong system. So if these are the data or the information nga kung ibutang sa akong system, unsa dapat ako ang mga entity di dito sa akong system, unsa dapat ang mga table nga kung ibutang dito sa akong database design, sa akong blueprint para sa akong backbone, which is ang ako ang database. So imo na siyang imagine, imo siyang i-interpret, imo na siyang advanced thinking, imo siyang planuhan og tarong. So unlike atong mga gipang submit sa akong output nga just to, although dili siya mali kay naman gyud ang attendance and student, but kulang. And we talk about system, event attendance system. So next time I will give a quiz or an activity, hopefully, or sa kanang mga naglantaw ng video na dili na ako student as of the moment. If you will try to create your own database, your own software, your own system, try to use this knowledge. You have to plan thoroughly on your ERD or entity relationship diagram nga design, so that mas dali buhaton sa system. Sabot naman kag unsaon mo siya pagplaster dito sa codes, since plastado naman imong blueprint ang imong database, kabalo naman kadanog unsay mga data ang imong isulod, unsa dapat ang mga information nga i-process to produce an output, whether it's for the display sa imong computer monitor or for print out ng output. Okay, so you have to plan. Because this ERD will be your communication to your programmer. So si database manager, or dili man siya mo mag-program gyud, siya mo mag-create sa design probably, definitely siya gid mag-create sa design, hatag niya sa programmer. Programmer man magkuan sa maggama sa code sa software, diyon based sa gihatag nga blueprint sa database. So dali na sabto ni programmer kung unsang gusto mahitabo sa database administrator. Okay, so dapat imo na siyang plano ng taman, because this diagram, this ERD is one of the many communication nga magkasinabot si database admin o si programmer, o pati na pod ang uban nga parts sa project team. So that is the crucial part of designing ERD. You have to make it clear, understandable, and almost 100% complete. Okay, so I hope you have gained yet another knowledge or understanding on the ERD, or database management system. But if you have clarifications and other inquiries, other questions, please don't forget to write your comment in this video. Kaya pwede na to siya bahatan og additional discussion, video discussion, or pwede na to siya tubagon right on your comment, right on the comment section. And then I will also include the link for the other video about the database management system nga kung mga previous video discussions, para malantaw ninyo if ever wala pa nito sila na view. So that's it, and thank you.